Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Dhamma greetings to you all. First and foremost, let's pay our respect to our teacher, who is the Lord Buddha, the Worthy One, the Enlightened One, the Supremely Enlightened One. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Dear all fellows in the Dhamma, you are very welcome to another session of insight meditation for everyday life. Well, today we will embark upon the mindfulness of bodily four postures. This simply means during this session we put our effort to extend what you have been learning for the last several months. Then we try to expand the horizon of mindful breathing towards our bodily functions. On the basis of Mahā Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta included in the long discourses of the Buddha, this is called Iriyapata or mindfulness of the four bodily postures. In my view, this is very important to train and practice yourself. The reason lies behind that. Although we started with the mindful breathing, still we have to practice towards the whole amount of our life. Otherwise, there is a failure, there is a system error indeed. Mindful breathing gave you a springboard to move on. Now we have to enlarge upon to what extent we can apply the way of mindfulness to your bodily functioning. Accordingly, in the Iriyapata Pabba, the Lord Buddha said, Gaccanto va gaccameti bhajanati. There is a person who is walking. He knows he is walking. Nisinno va nisinnom hiti bhajanati. There is a person who is standing. Then he knows he is standing. Tittanto va tittom hiti bhajanati. There is a person who is sitting on the floor. Then he knows he is sitting on the floor. Sayano va sayanom hiti bhajanati. There is a person who is lying down. Then he knows he is lying down. Then by and large, we have to understand, except breathing in and out, we all perform mainly four postures in our day-to-day living. Then the Buddha said nicely, we have to notice and we have to really spot whenever we move on, whenever we walk here and there, we sit on the floor, on the ground, we stand, and also we lie down. Why? There are three fundamental reasons that I would like to reveal here. The first is that it is very, very important to make a continuity of your mindful practice. Then, if you can well spot your bodily postures during your daily life, then it is very helpful. It indeed makes a recipe for your inner calm, peace, joy, and wisdom. For example, some people could say, "Oh, I don't have enough time to sit on the floor," or otherwise, look at my breath, look at the system of breathing in and out. Some people could say, then there is an option. There is an alternative way to train yourself. Even though you have not enough space in your everyday life, at least you can think of your bodily postures, your bodily functioning, even standing at the bus stop, maybe waiting for a bus to come. Perhaps when you are walking on the road, when you are walking on the premises, at your working premises, you can reflect upon yourself when you finally lie down on the bed at night. If you cannot find enough space in your daily life, if you cannot find comfortable enough in breathing in and out mindfulness practice, then there is a way yet to come. That's what the Buddha said. Then please, when you are walking, please know that I am walking. When you are sitting, try to notice that, oh yes, I am sitting. When you are standing, I am standing. When you are lying down, then I am lying down. The issue is that although we perform every act, every performance in our life, we are not well aware of that. We don't have very strong connection between your bodily functioning and your mind. That's the problem. But if you want to awaken your life, then you have to reduce the gulf difference between yourself and your body as well. Your body and your mind. This is a significant formula. You have to understand. There is a subtle dimension and very crucial dynamics you have to realize within yourself. So, mindfulness of 4 bodily postures is very significant to continue or keep on practicing your contemplative practices. As you already know, this is a part of contemplation of body as body. This is the second step of mindfulness practice in the foundations of mindfulness discourse. Well, the second point is that, this is a large scholarly debate that echoed down the ages, the mind and matter, the mind and body. It is a spiritual business we have to mindfully deal with. The more you understand your body, the more you can realize the subtle nature of your body, the more you have chance, the more you have opportunities to delve into the true nature of your life. Then you have to carefully and mindfully connect with your bodily function. To do that, your mind and body should play a harmonious interplay. So there is a harmonious interplay you have to reveal therein. In ancient times, some sages say, the more you sit on the floor, the wiser you should be. But in reality, the real wisdom comes from being mindful in every posture in your life, not just sitting around the flow, not just sitting on the cushion, not just sitting on the ground. Although you are sitting on the ground, who knows? Your mind is still with us. Your feelings, emotions, and thoughts are still abiding with us. The only person knows that's you. So, no matter you cannot sit down on the floor, still you have a chance, still you have an opportunity to practice the mindful contemplative practices. To my understanding, I would say, therefore, it is crucial to observe that what's happening in your mind rather than to sit just on the floor. Sitting on the floor physically is not enough in itself. The more important thing is that you understand the subtle dynamics and movements of your body and mind. The sitting meditation is a good paraphernalia, or a simple way of doing that, but it is not the one and only way of doing that. You have plentiful ways of cultivating the seeds of mindfulness. Sitting meditation is just one of them. For this reason, the Lord Buddha introduced these 4 postures of mindfulness to the monks and the keen fellows in the Dhamma. So, we could say there is no miracle just sitting on the floor. The real miracle comes from calm and peaceful mind. That is the reality. Just sitting on the floor, when you find it more uncomfortable or painful due to bodily pain or suffering, then we cannot move on. It is not successful enough. So, on that occasion, you can move on. When you get a pain or suffering or uncomfortable feeling or sensation during your sitting meditation, you can indeed change your bodily act. Then you can stand up, you can walk around, you can practice mindfulness during your walking stance. Absolutely, you can do it. So, that is the second facet what I wanted to say. This is very helpful to understand the reciprocal relation between you and your mind, your body and your mind. The third facet I want to say as a part of introduction, it is that, the essence of Buddhist teaching is to understand the nature of impermanence and uncertainty, and also the suffering, sorrow, and finally, there is no eternal essence. This is absent of self. Then when you perform these 4 postures, walking, sitting, and lying down, and standing, then it gives rise to another question: who goes? Who is this going? The reality is that although there is an act of walking, there is no walker. There is an act of sitting, but ultimately there is no sitter. There is an act of standing, but absolutely there is no stander. There is an act of lying down on bed or on the sofa, but there is no person who is lying down on the bed. Why? This is a certain flux. This is a change in flux. This is constantly changing. You cannot grasp, you cannot absorb into the same person or the same essence of that entity. For example, when we start the session, you sat down on the floor. Now, the time has passed on. The person who sat down on the floor a moment ago is different so far. Your bodily dynamics, your mental behavior, your location, your mental location, your moments, everything is changing. It is constantly changing. In that case, during these bodily postures, enhancing the mindfulness of bodily postures, you can understand the absence of self-identity. There is no eternal self at all. We all living in a very special temporal world for a very limited amount of time. So, by way of conclusion for the introduction, what I wanted to share with you today, it is beyond the edge of mindful breathing practice. We have been practicing it so far. Now we have to extend towards the deeper roots of your life in the midst of mindfulness or awareness. How to do that? To the extent of 4 postures: walking, standing, sitting, and lying down. Whenever you are supposed to perform these acts, please try to be aware of that. Try to stay within that act rather than going beyond different mental defilements or distractions. The fundamental nature of human mind is we are always distracted by obstructive mental status. So this kind of contemplative practice gives rise to the deeper roots of calm, peace, joy, and wisdom. Well, so with this notion, today we move on to practice walking meditation. What's meant by walking meditation? We tend to look at the movement of our body. In the discourse, and also by reference to ancient wisdom, there are a couple of ways of doing that. The simple and the easier way of doing that is try to notice the subtle movements of your legs and body when you walk here and there. That's what we are going to do today. But the standard or very complex way of doing that recommended in the Pali canonical literature, rather than looking at your bodily dynamics, we tend to look at your mental behavior, your mental dynamics, how the thoughts come in and go away, how you are distracted by 5 hindrances like lustful desire, animosity, sloth and torpor, restlessness and worry, and skeptical doubt, this kind of stuff. So it is kind of a very advanced level of practicing walking meditation. So to achieve that goal, we have to come up with initial awareness of your bodily movements. Therefore, today I'm going to teach you how to do the initial meditative practice on walking. This is not a simple walking, this is a mindful walking. Let's try for it. So, accordingly, we have to keep in mind about 4 initial steps. The first is you may gently lift your heel, then slowly your toes and foot move forward a little bit slowly. And first you may touch the floor with your toes, followed by your heel, the foot. Now you may repeat the same to the left leg. Gently lift your heel up, your toes, your foot. Slowly move forward. Touch on the floor with your toes, followed by your heel, the foot. Please try to keep this way as long as you feel comfortable enough. So today, overall, what I wanted to teach you, it's all about mindfulness of 4 bodily postures with reference to the Iriyapata Bhava in Mahā Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta. In all, I would say, from today you don't have to worry about if you cannot find enough space to sit down on the floor. Still you have enough space in doctrine to practice mindfulness or contemplation, your body as body. So, as I said earlier, there is no magic just sitting on the floor. The real magic comes or derives from a calm and peaceful mind. It is worthwhile observing what's happening in your mind just physically sitting on the floor. It is just one aspect or one way of performing or practicing mindfulness or awareness of your life. There are numerous ways that you can still be immersed yourself in the depth of the Dhamma. In a nutshell, the Lord Buddha said, Yatha yathava panasakhayo panihito hoti tata tathanang pajanati. In whatever way your body is disposed, that you still understand as it is. That simply means whatever modes you take on, still you can understand, you can realize where you are. Wherever you go, please try to well spot, you know where I am. Wherever you go, then there you are. That is the overall classification or the simplified version of mindful walking. It differs from simple walking. But when it comes to more down to earth practice, you can keep it simple as it is. You don't have to force yourself. Instead, you can watch like a gatekeeper. You can watch it like a night watchman. So you see, you watch every fact, every bit of movement in your body. Then it takes you into the deeper extent of your mindful practice. That's all I wanted to share with you today. Finally, by the vitality you accumulated today by performing this mindfulness of for bodily postures and practice, may you all remain safe, healthy, well and happy, and ultimately find the supreme bliss of Nibbana. With that notion, please say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.